So let's start with the end of the earth. What did you mean by saying that?
The earth lives in cycles. And one of the things that we have to confront if we're ever to move forward is we have a certain amount of time as human beings to develop a particular stage of intelligence. And then the world is completely wiped away. And as human beings, we have evidence that humans have been on this earth for over 1 million years. And yet, past 5,000 years ago, we have no knowledge of what happened.
Right.
We have no clue of what happened on this earth. And we start telling our history begins right around 4000 BC, when we start telling a story of man coming out of a cave and man being a hunter-gatherer and man learning how to how to understand agriculture. And we don't tell any of the story that came before us because it supposedly doesn't exist. Science tells us that the earth began 4,500 BC. But anything past that, we have no idea. And yet we can say the Sphinx is 10,000 years old. We can say the pyramid is 10,000 years old, but we have no knowledge of what happened. And cave paintings are showing us something. If you just walk through all the archaeological evidence, it's showing you something. It's showing you that there was a civilization like ours that was 10,000 years ago. They created the pyramids, which we cannot do successfully today without a lot of engineering and a lot of computing power. Prior to that, we find cave paintings that show us, the Aborigines will say these are space travelers from the skies, but if you look at the cave painting and understand it, it is a satellite view of the cosmos showing you deep into space and a black hole. You go into another cave painting, which is 65,000 years old. It shows you a detailed look of the cosmos, complete with a sun, a structure, dividing planets. And this is 50 and 60,000 years ago. So the thing that we're learning is there's been civilizations before us over and over and over again. And yet with the end of each civilization, they are completely wiped out. And here we are 5,000 years later, we have all this evidence showing us that there was a civilization here. And we have no knowledge of what happened to them. They're just completely wiped out. And the one thing that we learned from the Babylonians and the Sumerians and even the Mayans record the civilization of man as beginning in 3114 BC. That's when our civilization began to take off. But they call for an end of our civilization in 2012. So when you put those numbers together, it factors something that shows in the core samples, ice core. Each civilization of man is only given 5,125 years to thrive. After that point, a destruction happens, and they're completely wiped out. We passed our 5,125-year cycle in 2011.
Right.
So that's 5 years ago. So
right.
We're past the time where we're supposed to be. And the one thing that's important about this is every civilization that came before us, they're doing the same thing we're doing now, except their world got wiped out. They have everything that we have today, and they did everything we're doing now, and they got wiped out. So the question is, do we learn from them and change our fate? Or do we continue to do the exact same thing they did and get wiped out? Because history is a guide is showing us this is happening every 5,125 years. Civilizations just get wiped out, and there's no record of what happens to them. Because the Chauvet caves are telling us something very different from all the others. Each cave is telling us something different.
Right.
And they all play a narrative as to what happens in the end. Because there is something that happens on this earth after 5,125 years that destroys every human being on the earth. And then we start over. But there's something about every cave painting that people haven't picked up on, and it's very important. And the Chauvet cave will show you something very important. When we reach this point, something comes to our Earth, and this is based on the archaeological record. Something comes to our Earth and wipes out humanity, just completely wipes us out. And the one thing that you'll find in the Chauvet Cave and all the other caves, and in most caves you'll find pictures of hands, just hands, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hands. So you ask yourself, why were these cave painters just making prints of their hands all over the place? But there's hands everywhere. The one thing that you find out, though, is the majority, 99% of all the hands you find painted in a cave are female. Only females. And in the Chauvet caves, there's one thing that people don't see. They'll show plenty of different animals, but the majority of animals that you find in the Chauvet caves are lions. There's just tons of pictures of lions.
Right.
But if you look at the lions, there's never any males. It's only female lions. So what happens on this earth has something to do with eliminating males. Because in every part of our world, these cave painters are always females. And there's a story that is found in the archaeological record that tells us the importance of a lion. I don't know if you remember, in the ancient kingdom, the lion was everything.
That's right.
So every god was named after a lion. Every king was named after a lion, because a lion was very important. But a lion has a very, very identifying distinction between all other animals. When a lion comes to rule, he kills all the males. And the story that we're getting from these archaeological sites and these cave paintings is something does come to this earth, and males will fight, but that is inevitably to the end of the civilization, because after that, everything that is found left on the earth is always left by females. So the question is, do we learn from them and change our fate? Or do we continue to do the exact same thing they did and get wiped out? So what happens on this earth has something to do with eliminating males. Eliminating males. Eliminating males. Eliminating males. Eliminating males.